The fork hit the plate before my mother said it. That tiny, sharp clink, the kind that slices through air like a warning. And then came the sentence that froze me in place. Your father and I have decided, you're suspended from school until you apologize to Andrew. Andrew. Their golden boy. Their son, their pride, their everything. Me? I was the storm cloud they pretended wasn't in the family photo. And here's the thing, they weren't talking about a grounding. They were talking about my schooling, my future, my education. All because their precious son said I humiliated him. If your family has ever tried to silence you, my story will feel like a mirror you didn't ask to look into. We lived in Savannah, Georgia, in a neighborhood where every yard looked like it was copy-pasted from a magazine. My parents, Michael and Donna, were obsessed with presentation. Matching throw pillows. Matching smiles. Matching expectations. And in their perfect world, every path led to Andrew. He was older by 2 years, but it always felt like 30. He was the one with the dimples and the easy charm. The athlete. The leader. The boy neighbors complimented and teachers adored. I was the daughter who got asked if I was even related to him. The difference showed in small ways. If he came home late. Busy boys have busy schedules. If I came home late. Angelica, you need to be more responsible. If he didn't finish a chore. He's overwhelmed with school and sports. If I didn't finish one. Why can't you do the bare minimum? It wasn't always yelling. It wasn't always big moments. It was the constant comparison, the way my name always followed his. And if any of this already hits home, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, it helps more than you'd think. People think betrayal needs a big event. A blow-up. A dramatic scene. But in my house, betrayal came quietly. Like when I was 14 and walked into the family room to show Mom my English essay, something I was actually proud of. Before I even got close, Andrew snatched the paper from my hands, skimmed it, and said with this smug, quiet tone. Cute. But don't worry, you'll get better at writing when you're older. He handed it back with a smile. Mom laughed softly, he's just teasing, don't be sensitive. Or the time I got accepted into an honors workshop for digital storytelling. I remember holding the letter like it was glowing. Dad barely looked up from his coffee. He said, well, someone has to balance out Andrew's academic load, I guess. That was the praise. Meanwhile, Andrew winning a local award for a short sports article he didn't even write himself, Dad printed 50 copies. The message was clear. Andrew shines. You assist. And I played along. Quietly. Because quiet daughters get treated like furniture. But everything changed 4 months ago. Because on that day, I saw something I wasn't supposed to see. Savannah High's annual College Futures Fair was one of my favorite days. Tables everywhere, colorful banners, badges, brochures, and all the chaos of possibility. It smelled like paper, ambition, and too much coffee. I walked in with my backpack, feeling hopeful, for once. I had dreams too. I wanted to major in film or media, maybe storytelling. I already had digital sketches and essays, and even a short documentary idea. But I didn't tell my parents. Because they would have laughed. Or worse, dismissed it as a cute hobby. So I kept my dreams private. Then, as I walked toward the Duke University table, my absolute dream school, I froze. Because standing there, smiling confidently, handing out pages, was Andrew. I was confused at first. Why was he at Duke's booth? He never cared about Duke. He never talked about media. He barely passed English. But then my eyes locked onto the papers in his hands. I recognized them instantly. The formatting. The phrasing. The layout. The portfolio was mine. My essays. My summaries. My digital storytelling concept pages. He was presenting them as his own, smiling like he wrote every word. I felt something inside me twist and tear. I walked closer, quietly, trying not to lose it in public. "Andrew," I whispered. "Why do you have my work?" He didn't look surprised. Didn't look guilty. He barely glanced at me. He said, "Relax. You weren't using it." That sentence, that dismissive, arrogant tone, it punched a hole through the floor beneath me. But I didn't yell. I didn't make a scene. I just said, louder than I intended, "Those are mine." A few students turned. Coach Dixon's eyes narrowed. The Duke rep blinked. Andrew's face went red. He walked off fast, embarrassed. And I knew that moment was going to explode later. But I didn't know how bad it would get. That night, the house felt like it was vibrating with judgment. My parents sat at the kitchen table like a tribunal. Andrew stood off to the side like a wounded hero. Mom's voice was cold. "Angelica, you humiliated your brother in front of the Duke representative." Dad added, "Do you understand the damage you caused?" I stared at them. Speechless. "Damage?" I whispered. "He stole my portfolio." Dad raised his voice. "It wasn't yours alone. You helped each other. You kids always share ideas." "No," I said. "He took it." Mom slammed her spoon down. "Enough. You will apologize to him." I laughed, a small, shocked laugh. "Are you serious?" Dad said the sentence that would become the soundtrack of my anger. "Andrew needs that portfolio more than you do. He has a real shot at Duke. You don't." It felt like someone poured ice water into my bones. I said quietly, "Wow." Dad pointed at the stairs. "You're suspended from school until you apologize." "Suspended from school?" I whispered. Mom nodded, like she had practiced the line earlier. "Yes. You need time to reflect on your behavior." My behavior. Not Andrew's theft. Not their favoritism. Mine. I walked up the stairs without another word. And the thing is, I didn't cry. Not that night. The tears came later. But that night, something else took root, something sharp, something clear. A sense that the people who raised me weren't on my side at all. They weren't neutral. They weren't confused. They were protecting their golden boy at all costs, even if it meant stepping on me. 3 days into my suspension, I stayed in my room mostly reading, journaling, pretending I wasn't sinking into this quiet mix of anger and sadness. Mom and Dad acted normal around Andrew. They brought him snacks. Asked about his day. Checked his application deadlines. Me? I got plates left outside my door. One afternoon, Andrew walked in without knocking, as usual. He tossed a stack of papers on my bed. "Duke needs updated samples. Rewrite some essays so I can submit them tonight." I stared at him. "You want me to write your application?" He shrugged. "It's teamwork." I whispered, "You must be kidding." "Come on, Angelica." He laughed. "You're good at this stuff. I'm good at, everything else." Then he delivered the private, cutting line, the one that stuck to my ribs. Face it, I'm the main character in this family. You're just supporting cast. I felt the words like a slap. He left the room, confident, humming. But he made one mistake. He left his backpack on my chair. And inside was his laptop. And on that laptop was the truth that would change everything. I sat on the floor with his laptop open, feeling like time slowed down. I wasn't trying to hack anything, the folder was literally on the desktop. Applications final_final. I clicked it. And there it all was. 8 personal essays. 3 project outlines. My documentary pitch. My visual storytelling proposal. My short film treatment. All mine. Every idea. Every draft. Copied. Pasted. Reformatted. He didn't even bother removing some of the typos. My breath shook. My hands trembled. I wasn't angry. Not in the explosive way. It was calmer than that. Colder. Cleaner. This was the moment, the turning point, where something inside me shifted. I whispered to myself. I'm done begging them to see me. Now I'll make them. I didn't want revenge. Not yet. What I wanted was fairness. I wanted my name back. So I closed the laptop. And I started planning. My revenge wouldn't be dramatic. No screaming. No public blow-ups. Just truth, delivered properly. Step 1. Protect my work. I emailed my school's guidance counselor, Mrs. Rowan, the only adult who ever believed I had talent. I explained everything. Clear. Calm. No emotional spirals. She replied immediately. Send me your original files. I'll help. And Angelica. I'm sorry your family isn't supporting you. I cried at that last line. I sent her everything, my timestamps, my drafts, my portfolio pieces. Step 2. Prove plagiarism. She ran Andrew's submissions through the district's plagiarism checker. 92% match. 92%. Step 3. Timing. Duke's early application review deadline was in 48 hours. Perfect. Step 4. Contact admissions. I wasn't dramatic. I wasn't emotional. I wrote a professional email. These works were created by me and submitted by another student without my permission. Attached are my originals and creation dates. And I sent copies to Duke, Emory, UNC Chapel Hill, NC State, every school he applied to. And then I waited. Not shaking. Not terrified. Just steady. Like I finally stepped into my own skin. The unraveling didn't happen slowly. It hit all at once, like a storm that had been waiting outside our door, tapping politely, and then suddenly blowing the house open. It was the morning of the 4th day of my suspension. I was sitting on my bed, journaling, when I heard my father shout my name from downstairs. Not his normal annoyed bark. This was different, raw, panicked, sharp. I walked down the stairs calmly. Almost too calmly. Like my body already knew the truth had landed. Dad stood by the kitchen counter clutching 2 printed emails. Mom leaned against the sink, pale. Andrew sat at the table, hands in his hair. He looked terrified. A look I had never seen on him. Dad shoved the papers toward me. What, he hissed, did you do? I picked up the first page. I only had to read the header. Regarding your intellectual property claim, Duke University Admission Office. My chest tightened. I kept reading. They had paused Andrew's early decision file. Pending review of substantial concerns regarding authorship integrity. The Emory letter said the same thing. UNC 2. Mom's lips were trembling. Angelica, you contacted these schools? Her voice cracked in a way that might have made me feel sorry for her if I hadn't been drowning in their favoritism for years. I told the truth, I said quietly. Andrew shot up from his chair so fast it toppled backward. His face was bright red. You ruined everything, he screamed. I didn't flinch. Not this time. No, I said. You stole everything. Dad slammed his fist against the counter. You vindictive little. I stepped back. Not afraid. Just tired. I didn't sabotage him, I said. He used my work. I simply reclaimed it. Mom whispered, you should have come to us. I laughed. It was small, broken. But real. Come to you? You suspended me from school for telling the truth. Andrew stomped toward me. If Duke drops me, this is on you. Do you understand? On you. I looked him in the eyes, the golden boy, the favorite, the untouchable prince. You did this to yourself, I said. I just stopped covering for you. Dad pointed toward the front door. Get out. If you can't respect this family, then leave. I didn't cry. Not once. I grabbed my backpack from the hall closet, slipped my shoes on, and walked out. No yelling. No looking back. Just silence. The kind of silence that feels like freedom. I walked for 30 minutes before I finally called someone. Not a friend. Not a teacher. My Aunt Clarissa. She lived in Jacksonville, Florida, about 2 hours from Savannah. She had always been the odd one out in our family, warm, creative, loud in the best way. She painted murals. She baked too much. She hugged too long. She answered on the second ring. Angelica? Baby, what's wrong? I didn't explain everything, my voice was shaking too much. I just said, can I come stay with you for a while? She didn't hesitate. Text me your location. I'm on my way. 2 hours later, she pulled up in her old blue Subaru, leaned across the seat, and hugged me until I finally broke. I cried so hard my chest hurt. She didn't ask questions until the next morning. Didn't rush me. Just let me breathe. Her house smelled like cinnamon and paint. The guest room had string lights. The bed actually felt comfortable, not neat and cold like at home. It was the first time in years I felt safe. Mrs. Rowan, my guidance counselor, helped me remotely file an academic protection statement. My suspension was lifted instantly. She even arranged a carpool with a teacher who drove from Jacksonville to my school daily. The district noted the situation as academic misattribution, not misconduct on my part. Meanwhile, Andrew's fallout spread quickly. Duke permanently suspended his application. UNC placed a serious integrity flag on his file. Emory sent a rejection letter with language cold enough to frost a window. My father emailed his old college friend at NC State trying to smooth things over. They responded. We cannot consider a candidate with unresolved authorship violations. Andrew had gone from golden boy to radioactive. And none of this made me happy. Not really. I didn't want to destroy him. I didn't want revenge for the sake of revenge. I just wanted my voice back. My aunt did something no one in my family had ever done. She took me seriously. When I told her I wanted to study media, she didn't laugh. She didn't say it was unrealistic. She didn't mention Andrew once. She pulled out a notebook and said, "Okay, kid. Let's make a plan." I started rebuilding my portfolio, the real one, not the stolen one. My aunt helped me film short interviews around the neighborhood. She drove me to local events to capture footage. She let me turn her spare room into a mini editing studio. And for the first time, my work felt like mine. It wasn't being used as someone else's stepping stone. It wasn't being overshadowed or dismissed. I even got into a 6-week youth digital media program in Jacksonville. My instructors said I had a natural instinct for narrative pacing. No one had ever said anything like that to me. Halfway through the program, they invited me to join a regional showcase. Small but real. The kind of thing I used to think only kids with supportive families could get. One night during that program, I lay awake thinking, this is what it feels like to be seen. And if you've ever clawed your way out of a family's shadow, comment below with a single word, seen. While I was rebuilding my life, my parents' world was collapsing. I didn't know all the details until months later, but here's what I eventually learned. Andrew withdrew from school for a month. He refused to eat dinner with the family. He claimed I destroyed his future. My parents argued constantly. Mostly about him. Occasionally about me. Mom blamed Dad. Dad blamed the system. Andrew blamed everyone. But the thing that shook them most wasn't the colleges. It was what students at schools said. People whispered. Teachers talked. Coaches stepped back. Andrew, the beloved, the praised, the perfect, had been exposed. The attention he thrived on turned into scrutiny. Into judgment. Into uncomfortable stares. Mom tried to get the school to clear his name, but the district had everything documented. It wasn't a scandal. It was truth. And my parents hated truth when it wasn't flattering. 3 months after I left, Mom called. Her voice was soft. Unsteady. Almost unfamiliar. Angelica, can we talk? I rented a car and drove to a small diner off I-95, just outside St. Mary's, Georgia. It was the kind of place with faded booths and laminated menus. Mom and Dad were already there. Dad looked older. Mom's shoulders looked heavier. Neither of them had their usual parents of the golden boy aglow. They didn't lecture me. They didn't demand anything. Mom took a shaky breath. We were wrong. I blinked. I wasn't expecting that. Dad nodded. We pushed everything on Andrew. We ignored you. And when you finally defended yourself, we punished you. Mom wiped her eyes. You didn't deserve that. You deserved better. You deserved parents who believed you. I didn't cry. But something in my chest cracked open, in a good way. They weren't perfect. They weren't healed. But they were trying. And maybe, just maybe, I could try too. Forgiveness isn't a light switch. It's a dimmer. You raise it slowly. We talked for 2 hours. About school. About my program. About the future. Dad cleared his throat. Are you still thinking about Duke? I smiled. Maybe. But if I go someday, it'll be because of me. Not because I'm carrying someone else. Mom reached across the table and squeezed my hand. We want to support you. The real you. And for the first time in my life, I believed her. Here's what I learned, and what I hope you carry with you. Family isn't about who shares your last name. It's about who sees you. Who hears you. Who respects the space you take up. Sometimes the people who should protect you, don't. Not out of malice, but out of blindness. And sometimes, the only way to wake them up is to stop shrinking and start standing. You don't need to yell. You don't need to destroy anyone. Truth, delivered calmly, is powerful enough. If you're the quiet one, the overlooked one, the underestimated one, I hope my story whispers to you the way no one whispered to me. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to protect your voice. You're allowed to choose yourself. And if my story moved you even a little, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me the moment that hit hardest. Your voice matters here, more than you know. Angelica.